Brian, one of the first questions you got in your press conference was about Will.
Yeah.
About Will Levis. And had you done much work on him?
So I was very familiar, very aware. You know, I watch all the quarterbacks every year just to know. But you see the traits. He's big, he's strong, he's fast, he's hyper competitive.
One of the most commonly overlooked teams in the NFL going into the 2024 season is the Tennessee Titans. This team can upset anybody in the league, and they have built an offense that has the capability and the overwhelming arsenal of talent to challenge in this league right now. There is no rebuild in Tennessee. The team is ready for action in week 1, and the rest of the league better be taking notice. Naturally, the most important addition of all is the quarterback, Will Levis. The young signal caller had an up-and-down season after a nuclear first career start in Week 8, and overall showed really strong flashes amidst an offense that was dysfunctional for plenty of other reasons. Of course, it's hard to say what exactly Levis will be for the Titans in 2024, but what is certainly true is that Levis has the motivation and has shown the it factor that every star quarterback in the league has. Think back to Tennessee's incredible Thursday night football upset over the Miami Dolphins when Levis led the Titans back down from 14 points with just 2:46 on the clock. Over and over again, he was able to connect on chunk plays to DeAndre Hopkins and displayed the mental fortitude to stay sharp despite such a large deficit with such little time. Another rookie from last season that is poised for a huge impact in 2024 is Tyjae Spears, who will have an increased role in the backfield with Derrick Henry now in Baltimore. The Titans did bring in Tony Pollard, who should split the reps pretty evenly with Spears, and the speedy duo will add some juice to an offense that is already shaping up quite nicely. Anyone who watched the Titans last season already knows that Spears is electric. Tennessee played some atrocious football games last year, but Spears always popped off the screen whenever he touched the ball. And even when Spears isn't holding the ball, though, his presence alone on the field makes a difference. One of the big things that first-year head coach Brian Callahan emphasized this offseason was creating a more dynamic offense. In the past, Tennessee has tipped off to defenses to their play calling purely based on whether or not Derrick Henry is on the field. But now, Callahan has brought in playmakers like Pollard, who has a similar skill set to Spears and can keep the defense guessing. With that being said, let's talk more extensively about what bringing in Brian Callahan to the Tennessee Titans offense means. The big concept to harp on for this is that this is not going to look like the Titans of the old, but rather a much more modern approach to offensive play calling and schemes. Callahan is going to implement a game plan very similar to his old offense as the OC for the Cincinnati Bengals, which prioritizes getting the ball into the hands of playmakers in space. The good news for Callahan is that Tennessee now has the playmakers needed in order to recreate the Bengals offense in Nashville. DeAndre Hopkins has already established a very strong rapport with Will Levis and will require lots of attention from opposing defenses. Combine D-Hop with the new additions of Calvin Ridley, who still may not have even yet shown what his full maximum potential can be, and Tyler Boyd, a reliable veteran playmaker who is extremely comfortable in Callahan's scheme, and now the Titans have finally got some weapons. And just because Callahan and Carthone added the fancy playmakers doesn't mean that they skipped out on the trenches either. Left tackle has long been a position that has plagued the Titans quarterbacks ever since Taylor Lewin. The Titans had not only drafted the Trench King himself, J.C. Latham, to fill the left tackle spot, but revamped that entire side of the offensive line by adding Peter Skoronski at guard last year and signing Lloyd Cushenberry as an enormous upgrade over Aaron Brewer at center. Although Joe Alt was the fan favorite for the Titans taking a left tackle at pick 7, J.C. Latham is an absolute monster and was specifically quoted being Brian Callahan's favorite prospect in the entire class. At 6'5", 345 pounds, Latham is not only immensely powerful, but extremely agile and athletic for his size. The main concern surrounding Latham is that he played right tackle at Alabama, and the Titans are intending to flip him back over to left tackle. Left tackle was Latham's natural position in high school, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the switch will be easy. Fortunately, Brian Callahan is the best in the business and hopefully will be able to help Latham transition smoothly, where he has the potential to become the franchise cornerstone left tackle for the next decade. There are also still some concerns about Peter Skoronski at left guard, as he had somewhat of a difficult first season as a pro. Of course, the pick was heavily criticized when the Titans selected a guard prospect at 11 in the 2023 draft, but he was deemed a blue-chip player in that class for a reason. Not only was Skoronski playing alongside maybe the worst left tackle in football, which would make his life exceptionally harder, he also had his appendix burst in the middle of the season for reasons completely unrelated to football. Once again, with Callahan there to help him refine his technique and with Latham now on his left, Skoronski is primed for a great sophomore season. And in just 2 off seasons, Rand Carthorne has turned what has been the Titans' biggest weakness into one of their biggest strengths on the offensive side of the ball, and now it means the potential for the Titans' offense is limitless. All last season, Will Levis was harassed, bruised, and battered on a weekly basis behind an offensive line that simply wasn't talented or well coached. Now, the line has talent, and one of the greatest offensive line coaches in NFL history to ensure that Levis can stay upright. In 2023, the Titans ranked 24th out of 32 teams in PFF's pass blocking grade, and Levis struggled most when facing consistent pressure. What Will Levis did best last year was accurate downfield passing, and better protection will not only allow him to go through his progressions, but also just more time to throw in general as he's winding up to take shots downfield. With the weapons that Tennessee now has, those chunk plays will be open and available as long as Levis can stay off the turf. Speaking of, let's take a deeper look into what Calvin Ridley brings to this offense. One of the two big things that the Titans wideout has been lacking for some time is speed and quickness, but that's no longer the case with Ridley. Set to be the new outside receiver outside of Hopkins in the offense, Ridley ran a 4.43 40-yard dash time as a rookie, and although he's significantly older now than he was then, he doesn't necessarily have the mileage that most other receivers his age have. With so much more tread still on his tires, Ridley is still able to be both a high-volume pass catcher, amassing the 15th most targets of any receiver last year, and a constant threat for the big play. Now, as a wide receiver 1A or 1B, however Callahan decides to use him, the threat of D-Hop on the other end will mean that he's going to be much more open than he ever was in Jacksonville. And while you may think that it could take some time for Ridley to build rapport with Levis and the team, it helps that the Titans' new offensive coordinator is Nick Foles, who worked extensively with him as the offensive coordinator in Jacksonville last season. Foles' pass-first offense is consistently with what we can expect the Titans' new offense to look like in 2023, with the Jaguars being tied for the 11th most passes attempted in the league at 222. It's unlikely that the Titans will abandon the run entirely, and the combination of Spears and Pollard could be used very similarly to how Jacksonville uses Travis Etienne as a key part of their passing game as well. Additionally, another offensive playmaker that is set to explode is tight end Chig Okonkwo. Chig flashed big in his rookie year, but got off to a slow start before righting the ship for the second half last season. Year 3 is a great opportunity for Chig to cement himself as a consistently producing weapon for the Titans, who should be much more efficient now that the offense has so much more talent at other skill positions. The only real weakness Tennessee has on the offense is maybe the right side of the offensive line, and though no one can say quite yet how the depth chart will end up, the combination of Dylan Radnews, Chris Hubbard, and Daniel Brunskill at right guard and right tackle should be about league average. One of the aspects of the Titans offense that makes it so incredibly scary to play against is that despite the fact that there aren't elite players at every position, it's a combination of very good players that complement each other very well. Hopkins can find the seams in zone coverage and has the ability to beat his man one-on-one, which is benefited by Ridley's vertical field stretching ability and complete route tree. Boyd and Chig can create mismatches for linebacker and slot corners with their speed, and Pollard and Spears force the defense to play the boundary. Like I said, the team isn't littered with Hall of Famers necessarily, but the offense has been designed so purposefully that there are so many options on every single snap that the defense has to cover every single blade of grass. And with the personnel that Tennessee has, it will be pretty easy for Callahan to manufacture open receivers with creative play calling and take some of the pressure off Will Levis. If the Titans can do this effectively, it will allow for the offense to find its rhythm, and it means Levis doesn't have to force people open to survive, which he has shown the ability to do at a high level, just not super consistently yet. But that can change. Many people question the decision for the Titans to fire Mike Vrabel and refuse to believe in Brian Callahan. What they likely don't know is just how extensively Brian Callahan has worked with some of the league's premier quarterbacks. Callahan was the quarterback coach for Peyton Manning during the greatest quarterbacking season of all time. He helped Matthew Stafford have a career resurgence, and he helped play an integral role in turning Joe Burrow into what he is today. And while Callahan hasn't officially called plays before, it seems like he is more than qualified to do so. He has a ridiculous track record with everything he has done.
Callahan has seen how it's done correctly. With Peyton Manning in Denver, with Matthew Stafford in Detroit, with Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. And I think that he's taken something from all of those quarterbacks, and he will bring it to Will Levis.
I must say, take all this with a grain of salt. And after all, it is the offseason, and every team feels like their plan is amazing until the regular season comes around when things don't work the way they want. Even still, the Tennessee Titans legitimately have a chance to be one of the scariest offenses in the league next year. With data-driven decisions from Callahan powering the organization into the future, the sky is truly the limit for what this unit can do. What I think matters a lot more, what people give credit for, is that these players actually do want to play here, and without a doubt, it shows on the field. This roster doesn't just make perfect sense on paper, it also makes sense as a culture. Look at Levis, Hopkins, and Ridley. These guys all want to be in Nashville. Ridley passed up on what was an extremely similar offer from the Jaguars to come play in Tennessee, and there is a good reason for that. While most national media outlets might not pay any attention to what the small market Titans have created, the players, coaches, and fans can all feel that this team has the potential to be special. The Titans have not scored 30 points in an NFL game in over 2 full seasons, but that is going to change soon. An offensive explosion is brewing in Nashville, and I don't know if anyone will be able to stop it.